Well, I dreamed that at some point someone said, check the trousers in the mirror. Why? What's wrong with the trousers there? Look at the lovely crease I put in them. Fine. But they were clear. I should check in the mirror. Now, this was in the dream, and I was still in the dream trying to analyze it. Although, in terms of this world, I was lying there still with my eyes shut, apparently asleep. At some point, I realized it. But I'm still dreaming, in fact, you see. They're transparent. A bit like if you're wearing white. I mean, the trousers weren't white. I have got white trousers, come to think of it, but they're very thick. But I should check. You can see the shape of the limbs, can't you? If the sunlight's in strong light, in some sort of relationship to you and the observer and so forth. The person's sort of undressed. Or even was it where a woman wore a blouse that was white and it was almost see-through, to the fascination of the men, of course. Well, and the women too, actually. It's strange. Okay, so, and then it dawns on me, I was sorting it out as if awake, but I wasn't awake, and now I am awake. It's transparent. In the dream, that's the problem. Why is it a problem in the dream? Why couldn't you therefore wear the trousers, and be seen in public? Remembering I'm a man, not a woman. Women have got away with the most amazing things in public because, well, I suppose because of beauty. Really? Or you could say in traditional Christian terms, because of attraction. But I'm not actually thinking quite that. And I'm wondering with God, why is there this taboo on nudity? The dream, the subconscious, perhaps it's the superconscious, I don't know, but perhaps it's both working together, is giving me a dream that's querying this area of social etiquette, if you like. Why is it there? Why is it so strong? I mean, overpoweringly strong. We even have laws against nudity, don't we? I mean, it's a pretty concrete requirement of society. And it comes to me a rather strange explanation, not a Christian explanation, but a Jesus story type of explanation. And the issue of, for instance, making love and sex doesn't seem to quite arise in the Jesus story, except that we have the notion that Jesus was not married. I mean, some people have dreamt up that perhaps he was married to one of the many Marys, if indeed all the Marys aren't the same one person, or etc., etc. And then people have surmised, well, perhaps he had children then, I wonder who the generation, and so forth. But that's a gloss on the story that has never really taken off, not taken hold anyway. We're still left with the view that the whole area of sex is not actually addressed in the gospel story, although it is addressed in possibly the Genesis story, and certainly in, Book of Kings and so on. Where the ones, King David, for instance, had the problem of falling in love with someone else's wife, and that was utter sin before God in the story, and so forth. But the Jesus story, the nearest we get to it is, insinuations like the disciples durst not ask him why he spake with the woman, why he was speaking to this woman at the well. It's set up to look a bit doubtful, this, We have the notion that if he knew who this woman was, namely a prostitute, oh my goodness, this is just not acceptable in a holy and religious way. She's anointing his feet and weeping and making a fuss and devoted to him. But we know what her devotion means, sort of insinuation, and it's all, he should realize this, why doesn't he? He's corrupt, There's that going on. And he can't talk to the woman at the well. It's not social etiquette, especially this woman, because being there alone without the other women is very suspect. Okay, enough dwelling on this. Suffice to say, I do think I had the answer. It's that nudity is enough to bring about marriage in the literal sense of two people making love. They've united physically as one, albeit for a moment, while they are in sexual relationship. But the consequence is children. There's nothing wrong with having children. The race doesn't continue without them. What is wrong about the situation then? Well, it is something to do with the children. You see, you're going to have to treat the children as special. If you treat the children, well, and the wife come to that, the same as everyone else in the world, well, the relationship's not going to hold together very long. You'll be a bit like Solomon with 300 wives and 700 concubines, for instance. Well, are you really a father to all of your children? Possibly, if you're king, in the sense that you can physically, literally provide for them all and protect them all. But it's very unlikely you can do that if you're less than the king. Or, if put it more safely, more reliably, it's very unlikely you can achieve that if you're one of the ordinary folk. So the ordinary folk are never seen undressed, unless they wish to commit themselves to a situation where the children will be specially cared for by their resources, and the wife likewise. But the ordinary man doesn't have much more resources than, well, to care and give as best he can to even one, but more than one woman. The sad thing is that it's not enough in many circumstances even to protect one partner and provide for one child even. Things can be very difficult in life, and poverty hits the family and so forth. So, as a general principle, it's extremely helpful if people are faithful to one wife and their own children, not to all women and all children. That just results in an absolute chaos of nobody really being protected and cared for. Nothing's reliable out there. Everything's uncertain. So, how can we stop people coming together in proliferation, so to speak? Well, clothing. Don't remind them at least of just how attractive they are to each other. Oh. And you see something like the Muslim religion, therefore, has in some sense got it singularly right, albeit we might feel at great cost to society. You know, the wife is basically hidden away. She can wear more revealing attire with her husband, of course, but not in any way with other men in general. Are the same constraints on the man? Well, I don't think nudity is acceptable even on men, but there's a view that, and it may be a corruption of society, but there's a view that although women might be irresistible to men undressed, men are not irresistible to women. In part because, of course, they don't spend a great deal of time in making themselves look wonderful unless they're, Titan bodybuilders or something, So there's a view that the last thing you want is the man undressed. Well, other men feel this way, of course, because they're longing, dare I say, to see the woman undressed, not the man. Oh. It's an almost undiscussable, taboo subject, can't be dealt with. And yet the Bible does deal with it. It starts off with Adam and his wife, and Jesus saying, or God saying to the mother, who told you you were naked? Why were you hiding? Oh. In the case of the woman at the well and the disciples coming back and seeing him talking with the woman, they durst not ask him why he spake with her. But again, inference being, they were wondering. And to wonder something was well, unspeakable. In the circumstances, to accuse the master of this would have been, well, just would have wrecked the relationship. Let me pause. Assume for a minute I'm a monarch and a rationalist, and I have power over the religion and the law and, well, life and death, given my autocratic position as emperor, perhaps. Well, I want my society to hold together, for all sorts of selfish reasons. But that's what I want. How do I achieve it? Clothing seems to be a good idea and seems to have been a major thing with mankind from the beginning, with all sorts of riotous breaches and so on, including Solomon's salacious record. Clothing is the order of the day. It's fundamental to me keeping my society together. In itself, no, of course not. In its implication, of course. What's the implication? That society collapses if I don't do it. Ah, right. But hang on, doesn't society also collapse if you have no children at all? Oh, yes, but if you like, basically the desire for sex is going to be stronger than me making some law about about being nude, against nudity in public. And in fact, put the other way round, the great need needs to be allowed and legal to the extent that we bring up children in security as well. In other words, freedom within marriage is absolutely crucial, or we have no population, the end of mankind on the planet, which is considered not a good idea in general by most of mankind. So there's some middle path to be found, and it's found by clothing. It's as simple as that. So we make this moderation both a legal and a cultural and a religious requirement. Nudity is taboo, unacceptable. Okay, we don't want people to be so totally unseen that they're not attractive to each other. So we accept the fact that there is some clothing that's to some degree enhancing. It's hard to imagine. Well, no, it's not that hard to imagine clothing that's not enhancing at all. It's a monk's habit, isn't it? Ah, yes, well, monks wear this then. But we keep them in a social order, an organisation in which the sexes are kept apart. Because we're not looking for a situation where they have marriage or children even. And they're not tempted to come together with anyone else in a situation where they can in fact break the rule. Looks like it's a tricky fine line then. Yes. Perhaps Islam has taken it a bit further than most religions, although not all, but in a rather grand way, women are largely hidden away, and all women, not just those in holy orders. Well, not sure if there is a distinction of women in holy orders. Women are sort of kept in a holy matrimonial order by law, custom, culture, and so forth, religion. And I suppose the logic sort of lurking in the background is, well, men have the power, women don't. To break the rule. I'm not sure how strict the repercussions on I don't know enough about Islam or Islam in practice either. I think I'll keep off that side of things. Let me check where I've got to.
Well, the important thing, from my point of view, the spiritual point of view, is that the custom and the law and the principle of non-nudity greatly helps the security of care and nurturing of the children, and care of the wife too. And therefore, it's a great blessing. It's as simple as that. But from a spiritual point of view, the privilege of the immediate family, be it extended or what we call nuclear, husband, wife and children, can eclipse, well, almost entirely, our concern for other people around us. And it's more noticeable in the case of very well-off people, in that the immediate family is incredibly privileged compared to other people. Quite simply, the care of others goes out the window. So what I'm arguing is that what's been labelled by religion as sin and depravity should in fact have been recognised rather as lack of love and care for the wider world in general, and a great nurturing of self-interest, it seems. Narrow, immediate family, their welfare, and really not caring much about others beyond that at all. And that's the appalling situation of unlove, of lack of care of others, that we almost take for granted in the world. Not good. Oh, thank you, Heavenly Dad.